показывать себя такими, какими мы оказываемся.
I would like to think that we can see a new range of leadership traits being modelled where kindness isn't seen as weakness.
The way to counter Russia is through strength.
When big names talk, they talk to the BBC.
In our connected world, all news is international.
So, for in-depth analysis and correspondence covering both home and global events,
Get a deeper understanding and find out what is really going on.
BBC World News America.
Now on BBC World News, your daily briefing on business and economics from the world's financial centres. From New Broadcasting House in London, World Business Report.
This is BBC World News. I'm Geetha Gurumuthy with the headlines. As the results of the US midterm elections come in, Republicans are on course to take control of the House of Representatives, but with a much narrower majority than predicted. But the Senate fight is on a knife edge, with the states of Georgia, Arizona and Nevada yet to be called. The Republicans have lost a key seat in Pennsylvania to the Democrats, with John Fetterman projected to win the state. He suffered a stroke in May and beat Republican opponent and celebrity doctor Mehmet Oz. It's been a good night for the Republicans in Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis increased his share of the vote, but Donald Trump warned his potential rival against running for president in 2024. US voters have also been casting their ballots on a range of other issues. Vermont and California look to have approved enshrining the right to abortion in their state's constitution.
Hello, very warm welcome to World Business Report. I'm Samantha Simmonds. In a minute, we'll be looking at all the impact of the US midterms. It has been a dramatic night in the midterm elections. We look at the economic consequences. Massive job cuts in the tech sector, with Facebook parent Meta letting 13% of its workforce go. Well, we start with those US midterm elections. The result is still too close to call, but it looks likely the Republicans may gain a majority in the House of Representatives. The economy, of course, has been a big factor in these elections, with inflation the dominant economic concern for Americans. We'll have more on that in a moment. First, let's take a look at how financial markets have been digesting the developments so far in the US. Well, late on Tuesday, Wall Street did see a rally before any result had been announced. Let's take a look at the European markets now. The FTSE 100, let's have a look, down, also impacted by retail figures, though. The DAX and the CAC 40 also down. This is how the Asian markets ended the day. Japan's Nikkei retreated from a 2-month high, but that slipped as data showed China's producer prices fell for the first time since December 2020, underscoring faltering domestic demand amid COVID-19 curbs. Well, let's cross Rive now to Susanna Streeter, who's Senior Investment and Markets Analyst for Hungary's Lansdowne, for some more. To Susanna Streeter, who's Senior Investment Analyst. Great to see you as always. And I guess we need to see how the US markets react to the results that we have in so far, to see how the world markets are going to be impacted by these midterm elections.
Yes, and at the moment it's still very much a wait and see approach. I think not so much movement so far as futures are concerned. And I think that is because actually what we're expecting is some kind of political deadlock, because if Republicans do edge ahead in the House of Representatives fight, it means that they are likely to stop fresh legislation being brought, and crucially stop more stimulus potential as well. And that is why we could see a positive reaction on financial markets, because Joe Biden's stimulus projects and schemes have been criticised for adding to inflation, which is soaring in the United States. And of course, we know that the Federal Reserve is trying to rein it back in by raising interest rates. So there could be an uplift if deadlock is expected. On the other hand, it does raise questions about budgets and potentially the US facing a fiscal cliff. And that is when Republicans stop the Democrats and Joe Biden's administration from perhaps raising the debt ceiling to fund government expenditure.
Yeah, and also, Susanna, we've got really important key inflation figures out today, which are going to factor into the market reactions.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be the inflation figures that are going to be really the focus of investors, despite all the political manoeuvrings, because that really has been moving markets, in particular the reaction of the Federal Reserve, the US Central Bank, in its monetary tightening. There are expectations that it will become a bit softer in terms of rate rises in the months to come, but a lot will depend on the numbers out this week.
Yeah, and given the fact that we may not know all of the results for some time, how do the markets tend to factor that in?
Well, I think certainly it will be this kind of a wait-and-see approach. No news, in a way, is good news. So certainly they won't react in an adverse way, because it would be more likely that the status quo is achieved rather than any dramatic moves. And I think it is the kind of inflation question and whether spending could be reined in, which will be really focused on as far as general market moves are concerned. There could be some other sector moves, and those could emerge when perhaps there's haggling that goes on in the months to come if there is a Republican majority in the House of Representatives.
Susanna, thanks very much. Now, some breaking news to bring you. Meta Platforms is laying off 13% of its workforce, or more than 11,000 employees. It is one of the biggest tech layoffs this year as the Facebook parent battles soaring costs and a weak advertising market. Joining me now is our technology editor, Zoe Kleiman, for more on this. Hi, Zoe. And these figures just out. There was a warning yesterday from Mark Zuckerberg, but we're now getting the details.
Exactly. We did know that this was coming. I mean, it is massive. It's considerably bigger than the Facebook layoffs, than the Twitter layoffs that we had earlier in this week. It does show, doesn't it, that big tech is really having to tighten the purse belts. He apologised. He said he continued to invest in new things. We know he's invested $15 billion in the metaverse. You know, this project that might not come to fruition for 10 years over the last 2 years. In the metaverse, you know, this project that might not come to fruition for 10 years over the last 2 years. He said it did that off the back of the pandemic because there was an increase in people using products, engaging with adverts, and business was booming, and he misread it, and he didn't realise that actually that was going to slow down again. So it's a really interesting tone for him to take, very different to the sort of bullish tone that we heard from Elon Musk just a few days ago. He's offering 16 weeks of pay to those staff that are being laid off, plus 2 weeks for every year that they've been employed. He said he's suspended access to company systems, but he's going to keep their email addresses live so that they can all communicate with each other. What was a brutal round of layoffs?
Yeah, it really is. 11,000 employees. What does this say about the future of the company with its stock tumbling more than 72%?
Zuckerberg has absolutely committed.
Stock tumbling more than 72%.
Zuckerberg has absolutely committed in a very singular way to the metaverse. If he's right and it comes together and everybody uses it, then he's absolutely following the right path. But it's a long time to wait. You know, the metaverse, you've got to remember, doesn't actually exist yet. It's still being built. And there are going to be rival metaverses built by other companies as well. He's taking a huge gamble here that this is the next step of the way in which people interact with the web. At the moment, you know, we write stuff down, don't we? We share pictures and videos. And this is us actually being inside the web ourselves. It's a massive leap. It's an interesting bit, potentially, of social engineering. And he's certainly betting his bottom dollar on it. The question is, are the staff that remain going to go with him, there must be incredible nervousness among employees. You know, is he doing the right thing? Is this the right direction for this firm to take, especially as revenues are tumbling?
Yeah, as you say, he's betting his bottom dollar. He's lost a huge amount of his own personal wealth, hasn't he?
He has. I mean, don't feel too sorry for him. I don't think he's going to be not able to pay the heating bill anytime soon. But yes, he absolutely has, because of course his wealth is very much tied up in shares of Meta, which is a massive company, you know, owns WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook. It's got lots of fingers in lots of pies. It's too big to fail. I don't think we need to say that time is up for Meta right now, but I think we're going to see a really a tough repositioning of the firm, certainly in the beginning of 2023.
And Zoe, just briefly, I don't know if you know this, but will employees who have been affected, will they know by now if they're one of those laid off?
I suspect it's being rolled out. My understanding is that he's speaking to all staff, and that the statement that's now been issued, you can see it, by the way, on the Meta website, was issued after staff were made aware, yes.
OK, Zoe, thank you very much. Well, plenty more on that on our own website, bbc.com/news. That's it from me. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Samantha TV News. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back a little later with more business stories. Bye for now.
I'm in London to visit a new exhibition of Korean culture, which explores how what's known as Hallyu, the Korean wave, which includes cinema, has swept the world since the 1990s. You may well be familiar with this scene. It's the bathroom setup from the film Parasite, and it figured very prominently in the movie, especially when it flooded. It's been very carefully recreated here at this exhibition under the guidance of the film's set designer. Parasite is, of course, a movie that changed the perception of Korean cinema around the world, especially when its director Bong Joon-ho won the Best Picture Oscar in 2020.
I think Parasite has really brought a renewed confidence into Korean cinema.
And Parasite fans will be glad to know that there is more to come. An HBO series set within the world created by the film is in development.
It's not a time machine, although it has the power to revive history and explore any possible future. It's not simply a timekeeper either. It certainly holds our fondest memories, but also our deepest questions about who we are and who we aspire to be. It's not merely a sign of the times, for it reflects the unalterable passions in our hearts, constant obstacles on our way, and our willingness to take them on, always. It's not just 24 frames flickering every second. It's a testament to what truly moves us. A legacy that lives on, and a quest that knows no end. A perpetual movement. It's cinema.
How do you seize an opportunity when you can't see it? Essential intelligence from S&P Global sheds light on your private market investments, fighting information scarcity and bringing together critical insights, access, and a better future awaits. It's yours for the seeking. S&P Global. Seek and prosper.
For the first time ever, television viewers in their homes would now be able to watch the crowning of their queen, as television viewers in their homes will now be able...
From the government, out will come the banner headline, government still opposing BBC TV. Because we knew we were right. We knew the public not only wanted to see it, but deserved to see it.
The BBC was the fortress of British culture. You were allowed to make a film in any style you liked. It was my film school.
BBC children's programmes